These successful armistice negotiations have demonstrated conclusively the ability of the United Nations to mediate a serious conflict and to avert a dangerous threat to the peace.
Since its earliest days, the United Nations has used diplomacy and mediation to prevent war and broker peace between adversaries. UN Secretaries General and their envoys have helped to bring dozens of disputes to an end through negotiations. Still, many conflicts persist while new hostilities continue to emerge. These conflicts claim countless human lives and require costly international efforts to help victims and rebuild shattered societies. At a time of global economic strain, the international community is calling for greater efforts to stop conflicts before they erupt and spread. The Department of Political Affairs, known as DPA, aims to rise to this challenge.
Prevention of conflicts is key. Think about the human cost of conflict. The number of people who are killed or who suffer, the costs in terms of destroyed infrastructure, destroyed lives, destroyed economic opportunity. Think about the cost that the world has to pay to help refugees, or to help rebuild shattered societies, to help even pay for peacekeeping. It's far better to prevent conflict whenever we can.
DPA works in numerous ways to prevent and resolve conflict through political means. It keeps a watchful eye on political developments across the globe and advises the UN Secretary General on potential threats to peace. Through frequent interaction with the Security Council, the department helps the UN's top body for peace and security play its preeminent role in responding to crises. UN political envoys and experts currently work under DPA's guidance on several continents, encouraging dialogue and supporting peaceful resolutions to tensions. DPA's Specialized Mediation Support Unit boosts peace talks and political negotiations around the world. The unit dispatches experts to peace processes on short notice to enhance the capacity of UN envoys to help the opposing parties work through complex issues. Through an expanding presence in the field, the department is increasingly closer to the places where tensions may be brewing. Regional offices in West and Central Africa, as well as in Central Asia, are designed to help neighboring countries to address problems through cooperation rather than conflict. Since early 2015, the UN support mission in Libya facilitated talks to bring the country's political and security crisis to an end. The dialogue aims to be inclusive, incorporating the voices of civil society and minority groups.
The Special Representative and UNSMIL have exerted huge efforts to make this dialogue a success. They are fully acquainted and in control of the requirements and the conditions of the dialogue, in terms of the people invited and the tracks being carried out. Aware of the nature of the struggle and the institutional differences, the military conflicts, and who is participating and what are their goals. They are also patient with the different participants in the dialogue, and you must know how difficult the process of the dialogue is, since it takes lots of time and requires several rounds. The important thing is that we get there, and this is something that the UN realized in our case and brought together the different sides around the ideas that preoccupy them.
Around the world, peaceful and transparent elections are often a defining moment in a country's transition from war to stability. The Department of Political Affairs oversees the UN's assistance to democratic elections. Elections whose results are not accepted can be disastrous to a peace process. DPA works to ensure an inclusive and transparent election, cooperating closely with the UN Development Programme and peacekeeping missions. More than 100 countries have requested and received assistance over the last 2 decades. The UN's assistance can range from printing ballots to advising national election bodies to conducting high-level diplomacy, also known as good offices, aimed at encouraging peaceful acceptance of results.
I think what DPA will continue to do is, as we've always done, provide the technical support to countries to run free, fair, and credible elections. But I think the new emphasis of DPA when it comes to elections will be to put our good offices, the UN's good offices, at the disposal of these countries to ensure that on the political level, elections will lead to peace and stability rather than conflict and war.
In Afghanistan, 2014 marked the first democratic transition of power in the country's history, as well as the establishment of a government of national unity. The UN assistance mission in Afghanistan played a central role in the peaceful transition and continues to work in support of the government and the people through its political good offices, human rights, and development coordination work.
We in the UN often talk about the three pillars being peace and security, development, and human rights. For successful, sustainable societies, these need to all work together. DPA is often seen as one of the most important elements in the peace and security architecture of the United Nations. But we work hand in hand with those who are working on the other pillars as well. UNDP and other agencies, funds and programs on development. The Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights on the human rights pillar. Because these three pillars work together.
In partnership with the Peacebuilding Support Office, the department continues to assist peace efforts in countries where political tensions bring fears of renewed conflict. The UN Integrated Peacebuilding Office in Guinea-Bissau helps to strengthen democratic institutions and enhance state functions in one of the poorest countries in the world, which in recent years emerged as a key transit point in the international drug trade. The UN does not work alone. Partnerships with regional and other organizations play increasingly important roles. These include the African Union, a vital partner for peace and stability in Somalia and throughout the continent.
The regional organizations have a much more refined understanding of the context that we're trying to operate in. What are the issues? What are the dynamics? What is the culture? What are really the concerns, the fears, the aspirations of the parties involved in those kinds of conflicts? That is a knowledge that is very helpful to us.
DPA's relationships with regional organizations strengthen the UN's ability to help prevent conflicts. Prevention also means cutting off the oxygen to emerging threats like terrorism.
A phenomenon that we've seen more and more in recent years is the impact that cross-border threats have on already weak societies. And one example of that is cross-border terrorism. It's international terrorism, where one can see local conflicts. Syria is an example, where the situation is far, far worse because of the terrorist element. And we also see terrorists and criminal elements contributing to threats far beyond an immediate conflict area. The UN has been asked by the member states to help address capacity issues. The Secretary General is intensely focused on this issue in recognition of how much damage terrorism does to development, to peace and security, to human rights. And he wants to make sure that we are at the forefront of international efforts to combat this within that General Assembly passed UN Global Counterterrorism Strategy.